Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my walkthrough for Chrono Trigger for Nintendo DS. This video covers the 5th chapter of the game, which is titled The Trial. Ironically enough, the trial takes place after you've already completed the trial in the courtroom. This is actually just the prison. It's actually more so accurately what it should be called. But anyways, so after you've been convicted, you can go ahead and use the package that is on your bed, and that will be a certain number of ethers depending on how well you scored in your trial, how many not guilty votes you got. So if you got a lot of votes for not guilty, you will get up to 6 ethers. And if you want more details on that, then refer to the previous video to see how to score well at the trial. So now we have two different options for us. You can either sit still for about 1 in-game minute and some days will pass, and then you will be escorted to your execution. Otherwise, you can break out of prison early by simply scratching on the door 3 times by just pressing down on the D-pad a bunch, and then the guard will come in and try to knock you out, but then you can turn the tables on him and sneak up behind him and knock him out with your sword. Apparently they did not take your weapons off you, which seems like a very bad decision on their part. These are not very skilled guards in my opinion. Now, between the two different options available to us, either breaking out or waiting for our execution, the correct choice is actually to wait to be executed, which seems completely counterintuitive. You would think it would be the other way around, but it is actually the better choice for many reasons, actually, but I'll go into that in a little bit. I will show Chrono's method by itself, too, just for walkthrough purposes, just so you can see how to do it. I will say, as a comment, that it is very satisfying, to say the least. You can return to your cell at any point to drink out of the cup to restore your HP and MP and also save at the save point. There is several levers in here that will also open up various cell doors. However, most of these cell doors that are available are not open. They don't open all the way. They only open part way. So they're just busted and don't work at all, which is really sad. So I'm telling you guys, when we get out of here, we need to sit down and have a serious chat with Marl about requisitioning some WD-40 to get all up in this business. A lot of the guards in this chapter can be knocked out. Now, you just have to wait for them to be facing the other direction. This particular one always faces down, so if you just come from the top, get right behind him, face towards him, and then press the A button, then Chrono will knock him out. You can then open up the nearby cell door to get some goodies inside. Now, most of the guards you can actually inspect, and they often have mid-potions on them, / mid-tonics. In this room, you'll find a whole bunch of ethers and mid-potions as well, which is awesome. So go ahead and collect all those, then continue back across the bridge. Except that we can't! Oh no, this guy looks really intimidating. He's actually super easy. I'm actually not sure if he can even hit you. I've played this game several times. I don't think I've ever had him successfully hit me. He always misses. And I'm not sure if he does hit, then it suddenly hurts really bad, but it seems like he's actually not as much of a threat at all. I think he's a joke character on purpose, actually. So once you've defeated the Goaler / Omnicrone, then he will have some humorous dialogue before scurrying off. So just chase after him, go back up the stairs, and across the bridge once again. Up ahead, we have a new enemy called a Sentry in the remake. Otherwise, in the original game, it's called a Blue Shield when their shield is in front of them. When they show their face, which makes them vulnerable, then their name will actually change to Yodu D. And I'm not entirely sure what the reason is for that. But anyways, all you have to do is just smack them. They only have 24 health, but they have crazy amounts of physical and magic defense when they have the shield in front of them. So just wait for them to show themselves and make themselves vulnerable, and then to take them out. Now, at first glance, it does appear as though this is a completely unavoidable enemy encounter, and you have to fight these guys every single time you come through here, but that's actually not true. You can skip this fight entirely, and it's actually very easy to do so, but it just doesn't seem that way. However, it is kind of worth killing them because they do each drop a potion, which is very nice. If you take the stairs to the top left, we find a couple cells. The first door opens and you'll find a decedent, which means someone who has died. Their name has been changed in the DS remake to Lancer, which is not as cool in my opinion. I think that another cool name could have been like Desiccated or something like that would have been a cool title for these guys. They're pretty easy. There's no particular reason to fight this guy though. He doesn't actually give you anything cool. The next cell is just another one we have to talk to Marl about, so continue on towards the right and go up the stairs to find a bridge where we have to fight 2 royal guards at the same time. Now, I don't know if you've been paying much attention, but just about all these fights will drop a potion, and each one of those restores 50 life, so even if you're doing bad at all these fights, and you're just totally messing up like crazy, you have way more than enough healing here. In fact, I think it's kind of impossible to die, even if you're not going back and healing at your cell, which you can do anytime, by the way. So you could actually also be using Cyclone throughout all this stuff, too, although it doesn't really do that much more damage, so you could be using MP as well. I don't really think it's worth messing with, though, for the most part. Now, something to know about these guards, by the way, is if you successfully knock them out by being all stealthy-like, then what happens is you will actually be rewarded with a mid-potion for looting them, which is really great. Meanwhile, if you defeat them in battle, you will only get a regular potion, so that is significantly superior to be sneaky. They definitely reward you for that, because a mid-potion will heal 200 life, meanwhile a regular potion only heals 50. But yeah, significantly better value, so if you can, totally try to sneak up on all these guys. And what happened here is the guard fell over right in front of the switch, so I couldn't access it, so I just left the area and came back to make the corpse disappear. Or corpse? Not really a corpse, I just knocked him out. I think so anyways. I don't think they're corpses. Then again, when we defeat them in combat, they just kind of disintegrate. Is that a worse fate than knocking them out? I'm assuming it's worse. Disintegration does not sound pleasant. Now, you want to work your way towards the back of this room where you'll find a chest containing the bronze armor. Now, that is actually the room where you will find yourself with a guillotine if you end up waiting for your execution instead. Now, from that point onward, that room I just went to with Chrono by myself, that is actually the same room you appear in if you choose the execution route instead, and that route is just better. So I'm now going to show that instead. So once again, I rewound, so now I'm right when I woke up inside my cell. I'm going to go ahead and heal up and save real quick, and then all you have to do is just wait for 1 in-game minute. Now, I'm going to fast forward through this just so you don't have to sit through it, but otherwise it's the exact same. So you just sit still, don't touch anything, and what'll happen is some days will pass, and then they'll come to escort you to your execution. So for those of you who were observant, you would have noticed that that room we just went through wasn't anywhere on our path to here when we went here by ourselves with Chrono. There's a bunch of cells and stuff. I left it by itself without any commentary because I wanted you to hear all the sound effects that the cell inmates make. Because I think it's cool, especially that one that screams like, ah, and runs away. I just think it's a cool effect. This next room has changed slightly because now there's a guillotine here and there's no other corpses. I like how Lucca just has this, like, convenient plot device to allow her to knock out all the guards without any battle or anything. Or just, like, why doesn't she have that for the rest of the game at all? Or, like, if it was really such a good invention, shouldn't she have multiple ones of them? I don't care if it's disposable or whatever. Why don't you just make more of them? I would pay for that. It would sure make boss encounters easier. Next, you want to go ahead and open the nearby chest to get the bronze armor. Now, I actually am currently wearing a bronze armor that I got back in Guardia Castle in 600 AD, so I don't actually need this one. We'll just go end up selling it later. So just outside the little room, you should open the nearby chest, and then we have the option of freeing Fitz from the guillotine. Now, what this does is it allows us to get 10 mid-ethers later on in the game, so you should totally do that. You can find him in the Truce Village market, so we should totally go there at a later date, and we will get those items for free. Now, when I first played this game, I was a little bit squinty-eyed suspicious at Fritz here because I wasn't sure. I was like, did I just release a criminal? Like, they don't even talk about it very much, and I was like, is this really okay? But yes, Fritz is actually totally a good guy. We'll learn more about his storyline later. But yes, he is unjustly accused just like we were, so releasing him is actually the right choice. It is a good thing. He's a good guy, and we want to release him. So that is our good deed of the day, you know, releasing innocent men and, you know, greasing doorways, I guess. Although we did save ourselves, though, too, so, and we're innocent as well, so that could be our good deed as well. You know, not dying. Not dying sounds like a good deed to me. So, by waiting for our execution instead, we just skipped ahead to that room, so we just, like, skipped over, like, a third of the dungeon entirely. We don't even have to do it at all, and there's actually no real reason to go back other than you do have a save point and a heal. But also, there is those mid potions and ethers in the bottom right corner. So that's kind of the only thing that is kind of worthwhile, but like all the guards that were around that room totally we don't have to fight them at all. We still get the mid potions, which is awesome, for free. Next, go into your DS settings, go to the third page, and deactivate the auto run. Change it to walk setting instead. This will allow you to walk normally unless you're holding B. So what you want to do is just walk in between these two sentries, and that will allow you to skip that fight entirely. Now, I'm doing this because I'm trying to avoid as much XP as possible, but otherwise you can also just kill them because they will give you potions if you don't care about getting the secret along with me. So killing them is smarter in general. Next, you want to go up the stairs to the top left, then go outside the second cell, and then just climb down, and you will find a chest containing a shelter. Now here, before you continue onwards, you can look off to the left, you'll see a hole there. You want to stand next to it and inspect it with A, and you will then climb down to get to the farthest cell, which is right next to the one where we started, so our cell is just to the right. And there are two chests here. One has 1,500 G, and then there's also a silver sword / load sword. This is the highest tier sword that Melchior had for sale at the Millennial Fair. So that's why I didn't purchase it, is because we were going to get it soon enough for free. So go ahead and equip that shiny puppy and then turn your auto run back on and then go back up the hole. How you do this is you have to just face north right here and then press the A button in order to climb. This will make you climb out of the hole. Then you just want to go to the right and go back outside once again. So you can do this whole section either with or without Lucca, but using Lucca is just, or doing the execution route is just better because now we have her for all this combat. If you want to go back down to the lower floors and kill all those guys to get all those mid potions and ethers from that one room in the bottom right, you can totally do that, and having her with you will just make that easier. You just do more damage. It just is better. The other reason it's super cool is because all those guards are automatically knocked out, you guarantee that you get the mid potions from them, because if you try to knock them out and you fail, then they will just end up hurting you anyway, so it's just bad. So at this point, if you are traveling solo with Chrono, then you will actually have a fight right here where you have to kill 2 royal guards, and once defeated, they will give you a potion as well, which is kind of nice. And one quick strategy to talk about real quick, I mentioned this briefly in the previous video, is that one thing you could have done is unequipped Marl's accessory before we lost her. So when you were bringing her towards Guardia Castle, you could swap out her accessory for like the sight scope, and then that way you would have had access to the ribbon, which gives you +2 to accuracy / hit. And that will increase Lucca's physical damage. So you could equip that real quick because the upcoming boss is immune to fire attacks for a majority of the fight. So that does make Lucca not the greatest party member to have for this particular fight in general, so increasing her accuracy is very nice for that. However, I do think between the two options, between the ribbon for 2+ to accuracy / hit, or the speed belt to give her +2 speed, I think the speed belt is just way superior because it makes her attack more often, so she has more damage because of that, but also because it will allow her to heal more often, and that's really what we need for this fight. Alright, so there I showed the dialogue that happens when Lucca finds you at the base of the stairs if you went solo with Chrono. So now I'm rewinding and showing my other passive playthrough where I'm not fighting any combat, so this is when I did the execution route instead. So next you want to go ahead and inspect the Warden, who has 5 mid potions on him, which is amazing, and then you want to go to the save point and use a shelter to heal your guys. I actually am completely full on all my stats because I did not fight a single enemy on my way back using the execution routes, which is great. I'm trying to avoid as much experience as possible. So, next there is a note that is on the ground that was on the Warden's desk. So you want to go ahead and inspect it, and it gives you some tips on the upcoming boss that we're about to fight. This will tell us 2 key pieces of information. One is that the tank is immune to fire attacks, so we basically have to use just physical attacks, and also we have to attack the head first. That isn't entirely true, however, it is very difficult to pull off killing the other parts first, unless you have a very high amount of damage. That's kind of only possible, really, if you've been, like, grinding a little bit so that you have increased your levels, then your damage would be high enough that is true. However, for a general playthrough, you probably do not have enough damage to take out the other parts first, so you pretty much have to attack the head. So, if you want to swap out Lucca's accessory, now is your last chance to do so before the boss battle, so go ahead and do it now if you want to do so, then continue on to the left to start the battle. Now, as you probably have noticed, this prison actually gave us tons of potions, as well as several mid potions as well, which was all to prepare us for this fight. This fight is kind of rough. The first thing to know is that the head heals occasionally, just every once in a while. However, if you attack the body, it will heal much more often. That's a little mechanic that a lot of people don't realize is even a thing in this. Basically, it counter heals. So if you attack the body at all, you are forcing it to heal everything really, really fast, and it makes it invincible. So, don't attack the body until the very end of the fight. So instead you have to focus on either the wheels or the head. So the wheel is probably the most terrifying part of this boss because it does 40 damage to both characters, so it hurts really bad, and that's just a lot of damage anyways, but it often follows up with a single target attack that'll do somewhere between 20 and 30 damage, so you could lose like 80 health in quick succession in no time at all. So you want to keep your guys pretty topped off, or at least have at least 60 health, if not more, because otherwise you will probably get one shot in quick succession. So generally speaking, try to reserve Chrono for physical damage, especially against the head, and then meanwhile Lucca, who doesn't do a lot of physical damage and she's a little bit slower, you can keep her completely set on healing duty using potions, and that'll probably work out pretty good, as long as you just want to make sure that both characters are pretty full by the time the wheels charge up again. Now we do have Cyclone and Flamethrower, or even Fire Whirl, however the problem is if you use any of those abilities, even Flamethrower, even though Flamethrower attacks enemies in a line, it will hit all of these targets at the same time for this particular fight, and what that means is you're hitting the body. By hitting the body, you're causing the counter heal, and that's bad. So in other words, the only way to win at this fight is to use single target attacks on whatever target you want, and the choices we have is either the wheel or the head. Now most guides online will say you should attack the head first, and that is overall the best strategy. So once the head has been defeated, it's just a matter of destroying the body, but you can optionally kill the wheel first. The wheel is a big threat, and it does hurt a lot. That's probably the primary source of damage that you're experiencing. However, something else to know is as soon as the body is defeated, then the boss is dead, so that's it. So the body does have a little bit more health. However, Fire Whirl overall is your highest damage ability, and it does attack both at the same time. The reason this last part feels kind of rough is because if you suddenly switch to having Lucca focus on offense, that means you're not healing like you have been the entire time. Like, as you've noticed, I've basically been using a potion with her every single time she has a turn. I haven't really auto-attacked with her at all. That's why I was saying before, like, you can switch out and have the ribbon on her for an accessory to increase her physical damage, but who cares about giving her 5% more physical damage when she's, like, hardly attacking at all? So if you decide to take her off healing duty and switch to using Fire Whirl, then this is fine, but just realize this does mean you are racing the boss to see who can kill the other first. And that is probably fine. If you both have full HP, you can probably do it, and it's not too bad. The goal is to try and do it before the wheels go off a second time, because if you get another 40 damage to both characters, it's pretty awful. But the wheel does not have that much health. It only has 208, so 3 Fire Whirls will easily take care of it. The last attack that this boss has is actually a counter attack that is on the body only when it's only the body left. So if the body's the only body part remaining and you smack it, it will counter by zapping you with a laser. And however, the body does not have that much more health compared to the wheel, so if you were using Fire Whirl to smack the wheel 3 times, you probably will be able to finish off the body with 1 remaining attack. So that's what I did there. I realized that was kind of risky and I was almost dead, but the body did not have much health anyway. So that is kind of the traditional fight. However, another alternative strategy is to attack the wheel first instead, because the wheel is kind of the most terrifying attack that this boss has. It does 40 damage to both characters, and it doesn't attack very often though, but it is just pretty awful and it can wipe you out. So to do so, just focus with single target regular attacks on the wheel, just like we were doing with the head in the last strategy. And what'll happen is it'll probably get off a heal and a single charge, but then after that you should be able to defeat it pretty quick. Again, it does not have that much health. 208 is not a lot. So, and you think about it this way too, Chrono does like 75 to 100 every single attack. Like, that does not take long. Even if he gets an additional 75 health, it's not that much. One other quick tip that I would give you is to know that if you are really hurt, you probably want to use a mid potion instead, because the problem is regular potions only restore 50 HP, which is half of your HP pool. So if one of your characters is really, really hurt, then it would take 2 turns to get him back up to full. And we got a whole bunch of mid potions in this dungeon anyway, so don't worry about it too much. So if you decide to go this route, then you take out the wheel first, then the head, then what happens is it makes the boss not do as much damage. You'll notice that look at my heals, I'm not even using potions that much with Lucca, and I'm able to auto-attack the boss's head much more frequently, actually. That works out pretty good. However, something else to know is the body itself does not do much damage. Once the head has been defeated, then what happens is you actually are able to just focus on the body and you only have the missiles to worry about, which is great. However, the thing that's really damaging here is the counterattack, and because of that, it's better to use Fire Whirl, even though I know that Fire Whirl is kind of like an AoE ability, so it hits multiple targets, so it seems kind of counterintuitive to be using it here at the end, but it just does the most amount of damage you can do in a single shot. So you want to have as few attacks as possible to take out the body so you don't have to worry about the laser as much. Along those same lines, you don't want to use just regular attacks by themselves. Like, just using Chrono to just attack it normally is bad, because you're going to cause a counter to either character, and it just does a lot of damage. You're taking the 15 damage from the missile and 25-ish from the laser every single time you do an auto attack, and it's just awful. So, Fire Whirl is definitely the way to go. So I just watched back through both fights real quick to see how many potions I was using. I wanted to see if I took less damage for one fight or the other. It looks like, actually, this fight I ended with full health, however, I used more potions. Meanwhile, the other fight I had used less potions, but I was almost dead. As far as the total amount of damage I took, it looks like it was about the same from both fights, so actually both strategies end up kind of working out as far as which one's better or not, you know? What I will say, though, is I feel like the second strategy, taking out the wheel first, makes you take less burst damage overall, less damage in quick succession. So I feel like it's less scary and it is a little bit more manageable. It definitely gives you more breathing room so you can decide what you want to do. So there you go. There's a couple strategies for defeating the dragon tanks, so hopefully that makes it a little bit easier for you. Now granted, I am relatively weak right now because I'm literally as under-leveled as I can possibly be. I've avoided all of the possible optional enemy encounters at this point, so thus my level is very low. So once you have defeated him, you want to go ahead and continue on to the left, and then down the stairs there is a shelter inside the chest. But yeah, if you have been fighting some more enemies, you would have more XP at this point, and thus you would have higher stats, which makes that significantly easier. Like, after destroying the head, usually 3 Fire Whirls will take out both the wheel and the body at the same time, normally. It just isn't quite working for me because my stats are so low. So that basically concludes this chapter. Just follow the obvious path, and we'll meet up with Marl here in a little bit, and then venture into another gate. And that pretty much concludes this video. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification so you know exactly when more things are posted by yours truly. As always, remember to stay awesome, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.